Hi, Martin from Bespoke Baits. Today I would like to show you how you can make boilies without any specific boilie making equipment. So on the boilie making pages on Facebook, lots of times I see the posts like what can I buy from the supermarket to make some boilies, and these are guys who obviously have decided that they want to start making their own boilies, which is great. However, I would shed a little bit of caution on going to the supermarket and trying to buy a load of ingredients. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you can make a good bait, but you have to have a little bit of knowledge to be able to go and purchase the right stuff. So my advice to you, if you decide to go and make some boilies, what I'd be doing is I'd get Google, that's your friend. I would put base mix 1 kilo in, and it'll come back with loads of results of really good recipes of powders and liquids that you can buy very easily over the internet and get delivered to your house. And this is where I would start. 1, the recipe is going to be a good recipe. 2, it's going to be proven. It's going to be having been used to catch fish, and it'll mix well. It'll stay nice and hard when you use it in the water, on your hair. There's just so many advantages, especially if you're starting out. So my advice, forget the supermarket for now. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you can. But you need a little bit of experience. Purchase 1 kilo of base mix over the internet. There's lots and lots of companies out there. Your local tackle shop might even sell it. You're likely to get the powder and the liquid with it. All you need to do is add eggs. Okay, so we're going to make these boilies with no specific boilie making equipment. However, we will need some kitchen equipment. Okay, so this is just a quick little rundown of the stuff I'm going to use today. First of all, I've got a pen and a piece of paper. Okay, very important. I want to write down my recipe. I want to write down my volumes, and this will make it a lot easier as I progress through making the batches. Okay, so I've got a knife, and that's just to cut the boilies into size. I've got a fork for mixing. I've got a large kitchen bowl. The bigger the better. You can actually get in and be more vigorous. I've got 1 egg, and obviously if I'm going to make a lot of bait, I'm going to need more eggs. I've got some kitchen scales. I've got 1 kilo of base mix powder. I've also got some carpy liquid which goes with this base mix powder. I've got a chip frying basket to lift my boilies out of the hot water. And last but not least, I've got a very big pan, the biggest pan that's in the kitchen, and I've got a little stove here to heat my water. Okay guys, so I swapped over to a different camera. So what I'm going to do first of all, I am going to put my egg in the bowl. However, I'm going to zero my bowl on the scales. So this is a medium egg, nice and fresh. And let's see what it weighs. So it weighs 51 grams. Okay, 51 grams, very important. So what I'm going to write down here on my piece of paper is the egg is 51 grams. Okay, so been looking at my instructions on here, and what we're saying for the liquid is 15 ml per half a kilo of powder. Okay, so roughly in boilie making, I would say between 4 and 5 eggs would give you half a kilo of powder. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to divide that 15 by 4 or 5, so we're talking roughly about, say, 3 milliliters of liquid. Okay, so I've got a little pipette here, so all I'm going to do, just give that a little stir, and then I'm just going to suck that up. It's a bit chilly today, so we've got, I'll try that again. There we go, 3 mil. Okay, so put that away. So now let's have a little look. So obviously I am our volume now has increased. Obviously we've added 3 ml of liquid, and looking at that, lo and behold, as you would expect, we've now got 54 grams of liquid. Okay, so now just need to show you off, because I'm just going to put a couple of little extra bits in that I like to put in. Okay, so now we have our bespoke baits extras in our little mix, and lo and behold, we now have 61 grams of liquid. Okay, very important. So now what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to beat my egg, get all them wet ingredients mixed together. Okay, so I think really what we can do now, we can actually get away with adding exactly the same amount of liquid with powder. So we've got 61 grams of liquid, so I'm quite happy, and we'll start off with 61 grams of base mix. So we're looking for 122. There we go, roughly 123, and I'm going to give that a mix. So this is 1 to 1. Okay, so that's mixed in now, and as you can see, it's still very, very wet. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is just slowly add base mix. You might have seen this before, but what we want to be trying to get is basically a ball of paste that we can pick up without it sticking to our hands. Just getting pretty close now, although it's still a little bit sticky. I'm just going to move the ball around so I can pick up all that spare powder that's stuck to the sides. And just a little bit more. So I've got to a point now where I can pick that up and really it's not sticking to my hands, so that's about perfect. Whatever, and I will just roll it one more time around my ball, pick up all the bits. So now onto the bench, and I can feel that it's still a little bit tacky. You can see that it's just left a little bit of residue on my hands. So what I'm going to use, obviously I've spilt a little bit of base mix around the bench here and on the scales. I'm just going to clean this fork off, so I want all of this stuff. And it's still sticking in my hand, so we just want a little bit more. I'm just going to clean my hands off with a little bit of powder. And then all I want to do now is just pick up all that last little so I'm just rolling it into this dust that's on the table on the bench to pick up and then just another little sprinkle. Occasionally you get the odd lump in out the base mix, just dispose of that. I'm just picking up the spare powder that's knocking about on the bench. Just keep rolling the sausage out. And that's looking good now. We have got a little bit of residue on our hands, but I think that's from a bit earlier. So just rub that off my hands. And now I'm managing to roll it without picking up any residue. So that's ready. That's ready to go. Okay guys, so calculator time. So we knew that we had 61 grams of liquid, and we know that we've used 110 grams of powder. Okay, so what I want to do is 110 grams of powder divided by 61 grams of liquid. And then what that's telling us now at 1.8, we have a ratio, okay, of 1 to 1.8. Okay, so we know what our ratio is. Our ratio for this mix is 1.8. So for every 1 of liquid, we need 1.8 of powder. Okay, so we've decided this time we're going to mix up 4 eggs. So our mix has ended up 250 grams of liquid. Okay, so if I take 250 grams of liquid and I times it by our ratio of 1.8, lo and behold, what we need for our next mix is 450 grams of powder. And now I know that if I do a 4 egg mix and end up with 250 grams of liquid, if I add 450 grams of powder, I'll end up with a perfect dough ball. Hope everyone's getting this. Okay, so now time to roll our boilies. So I've got a nice little sausage. All I'm going to do here, I'm probably going to cut this into about thirds, just rough thirds. What I've done, I've just got a couple of plastic lids to put our boilies on, and I'm just going to roll these out into a nice sausage, trying to make it even. And this is where you need to decide what size boilies you want to make. Obviously the bigger the sausage, the bigger the boilie. You might want to do different sizes, but on this occasion I'm just going to make them all the same. So I'm looking at that and I'm guessing that that maybe is a 15mm sausage. So now I just want to roll this other one to exactly the same, rough same size as my first sausage. This is obviously how they first started making boilies, going probably back into the 1970s. So that one is roughly the same diameter, maybe not as neat. This one looks like it's going to be a little bit smaller. Now what happens as you leave the boilie paste, it will still absorb liquid from the egg. So if you left this now, I hear about people who leave it in the fridge overnight. If you left this in the fridge overnight, it will be rock hard and unusable. So you've got to work it straight away. Obviously the other option would be to make it a lot softer. Right, so 3 sausages. Maybe that one's just not quite as big as the others. So what I'm going to do now is put them together, join the ends up, and I'm just going to cut them. Now this is why I would start off with a 1 egg mix. Okay, so now take each little individual cut, roll it in your hands to a nice round shape, get it somewhere around, and then onto the lid, the plastic lid. And just when we come to boil them, obviously we don't want to be picking them up individually. And this is just one egg. You can see why rolling tables were invented. Okay everyone, last one. And there we have all our boilies rolled up. Not perfectly round, but you're never going to do that with your hands. Obviously you could spend a little bit more time if you wanted. So that's a 1 egg mix rolled by hand. So now time to cook our boilies. Time to set that egg. Okay, so it's time to boil. So we've got the largest pan possible. So this is a big soup pan that I've got. As you can see, it's on the boil. Lid's on just to keep all that heat in. The biggest pan possible is to retain as much heat in the water when you put the cold boilies in. Very important. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to pop them in. And as you can see, the water goes off the boil. I'm going to put the lid back on, and then we're just going to set our watch. Just easier said than done where they're holding the camera. Okay, so watch is going. Now I do know that this base mix actually floats, and occasionally you do get ones that don't. So it's something to be wary of, but generally when a boilie's floating, it's cooked. Okay guys, 1 minute 30 seconds and we are all floating now. So all I'm going to do is take them out, give them a little shake, and then just pop them onto some kitchen roll. So we're going to let them cool. We'll let them air off overnight, and then they're ready for the freezer. Okay guys, so here we are the very next day, and we have our boilies which have been out overnight and have now hardened off and dried, and as you can hear in the plastic container, nice and firm. No little roach are going to be able to peck at them. Only a 1 egg mix. Hopefully this video has been informative for you. Lots of advice in there. Just a little recap. Don't go down the supermarket route. Go online, find yourself a 1 kilo mix of base mix, preferably the one that comes with liquid. Experiment with that. Start off with a small batch, 1 egg mix, write everything down, work out your ratio. Maybe do 1 egg mix, then a 2 egg mix, increase. Obviously, time how long they take to boil. Okay, all these little things add up and make it a lot easier, especially as you start getting into bigger batches. I've been Martin. Like it if you thought it was informative. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Fair enough if you didn't. Subscribe to the page. Any questions down below, or use our Facebook page, bespokebaits.co.uk. See what we're making. Shops online.